Hi everyone, I'm San, and you're listening to San Huyen Podcast. We've entered a new year, 2025, and this is our very first episode. It's strange, isn't it? For our first episode, I've chosen to talk about pain and why dwelling on pain doesn't help us heal. Why not a video about self-improvement? Why not an encouraging message? Why pain? Could it be that this very podcast is forcing us to revisit our pain once again? Please just listen until the end, and you'll understand what I want to share with you. Over the past 5 months, my life has undergone so many changes. I don't know how you all are doing lately. Are you well? Is everything okay? After graduating, I returned to Vietnam, settled down in Ho Chi Minh City, and launched my journal. I often found myself lost in the grind of work, sometimes not even having time for myself, because even when I was alone, all I could think about was work. But you know what? I feel it's incredibly worth it. All this worry and stress, it's worth it because I have goals, dreams, and ambitions that I'm determined to achieve. And I believe that if you also have goals, things you yearn for, then let's work hard together, be diligent together, keep moving forward, and we will definitely achieve what we desire. The most important thing for me is still the journey of self-discovery. I believe that to understand myself more deeply, understanding my pain is certainly a very crucial part. Recently, I also had the chance to go to Dalat. Dalat is always a place that leaves you with an unforgettable feeling, a mix of many emotions. That's because I had some very deep, profound conversations there that left me with quite a lot to think about. I had the opportunity to visit a restaurant there that only serves vegetarian food. There's only one chef and only one table, you guys. Yes, they only serve one table at a time. When I arrived, it felt like a secret garden because it was surrounded by trees, and even the chef dressed in a very rustic, wild, Japanese mountain style. By chance, we sat and chatted together. Throughout that conversation, we talked about quite a few things. Up until now, I've always been the one to explore the joys and sorrows of others, but this time, someone else was exploring my sorrows and joys. It was truly interesting. As for me, I don't want to elaborate too much on things called pain, because in parallel, there's also a lot of happiness, and I believe both coexist daily. My focus isn't on healing pain, nor is it on chasing happiness. It's simply about doing what I need to do and doing it to the best of my ability. Whatever happens, I still consider what's good for me, what's good for this life, and I do that. So sometimes I ask myself, does being too immersed in happiness or too deeply engrossed in pain truly help us grow? Does it truly help us heal? Does it make us feel more complete, lighter, more comfortable in this life? The truth is, I don't think so. Why? Because in conversations like those, I felt that somehow people wanted me to acknowledge that I have pain to show them. Ah, I also have pain, I'm not as happy as you think, I also have my losses and sorrows. In reality, some people who want to heal others want to pull out that wound, and sometimes they even want to dig deeper into it, as if I haven't been able to face it or I'm not mature enough. I don't know. I think they just want what's best for others, or perhaps they themselves have pain and understand that others might want to share it too. So this is how I see it. It's no coincidence that I always have so much energy to work and to live, and one of the reasons for that is acceptance. Accepting days when I lack energy, accepting days of sadness, accepting times of disappointment, of suffering, accepting the imperfections in life. And I think that ever since I became aware of these things, it's been over 10 years since I was a young girl leaving my family to go to university. I think it started then because before that, I don't remember much. I had my own pains too, of course, but I've always felt incredibly lucky, everyone. I'm lucky to have parents and the opportunity to go to school. I grew up in the lowlands. This is something I realized very clearly when I visited schools in the highlands. They face unimaginable difficulties: not enough food, not enough clothes. What made me downplay my own pain? It's precisely because I've had the opportunity to travel more, to go to places where I could feel their pain, their struggles. Yet sometimes, for them, it's not pain, it's just everyday life. They still feel happy, they still feel comfortable in a simple house where rain leaks everywhere, sleeping under a blanket yet still feeling bitterly cold. The eyes of children looking at gifts with such joy, it's just that simple. My own pains became smaller and disappeared when I saw that many people were struggling even more and needed my help. So, what do I need to do? Be stronger, be more diligent, try harder because I have good conditions to develop, to succeed, so I can come back and help others. So, they might find it strange when I seem to deny my pain, but I don't deny it. I accept it, but I don't see it as too big a problem. I see it as normal. They say I must resolve those pains, I must heal those pains. Oh, there are things people have accepted for a long time. Some things aren't even wounds, they're just facts. A child growing up without a father who passed away early, that's not a wound, it's a fact. A father sacrificing his life on the battlefield from the moment the child was born, there's also pride in that my great father sacrificed for his country. Depending on each person's perspective, sometimes pain can be a very beautiful thing, a wonderful gift. For example, for me, from a young age, the time I spent with my father was very limited. He only lived with me until I started primary school, and then he returned to Russia. I was born in Russia, and most of my father's time was spent there. Every year, he would come back once. During the COVID years, he couldn't. And for me, that's just a fact. It's how it is, it's just happening. And even if you live in a family where your parents aren't happy, siblings don't get along, or your family isn't wealthy, that's a reality unfolding. So whether we conclude it's pain or a gift still depends on each person's perspective. I, for one, feel very grateful. Why? Because in the past, if my father hadn't gone abroad to earn money, it would have been very difficult for our family to support all 3 siblings through school. Everything has its price, you guys. Or, if you resent your parents for being poor, I think that's incredibly heartless. Because not everyone is born into this life to be rich or to have wealth. Everyone has different circumstances because life isn't fair. I remember the time I went to Huyen, seeing little children carrying their books to school, barefoot in freezing weather. I realized my own pains were so tiny, they were nothing. Sometimes, these children had to walk miles over mountains to get to school, yet they still had charming, innocent smiles on their faces. What is pain? Pain is what we define it to be. If we always think of ourselves as unfortunate, we will always blame life. And if we just sit there, dwelling on pain, analyzing our losses and what we lack, that won't help us heal or grow. Not at all. What can help us is to accept it as a fact and not consider it pain. Here, we're not denying it or downplaying it, we're simply accepting it as a part of our lives. And sometimes, by accepting it, you'll feel it's like a gift. Just like a child growing up in a family struggling financially. Sometimes, that's a wonderful gift that motivates that child to become financially independent later in life. I, San, believe that it's these journeys, my personal growth, and focusing on what I can do better that truly help me develop. I no longer sit and think about healing or mending wounds. I need to go out, see more of the world, understand life, understand pain, to realize how small I am and how much more fortunate I am than so many others. I have such good conditions to be here today. All the stress I receive, I feel it's worth it. Just a few days ago, I had sharp stomach pains from stress, tension, and worry about work issues. But immediately after, I returned to normal because I know I am incredibly lucky to be here right now. My voice has listeners, it has influence, and I felt very happy after a conversation with a taxi driver. He was once a very prominent figure, a philanthropic teacher who was very wealthy at one point. He shared that he had over 100 billion Vietnamese dong, but 2 years of COVID took everything, and he was back to zero. He spent a year stabilizing his mental state, and then he chose De Lat to continue his journey. He was the taxi driver who drove me from Lien Kuang Airport to De Lat City Center, and throughout that dozens of kilometers, we, 2 strangers, chatted nonstop. He told me about his life, but he spoke with such a positive, comfortable tone, as if he could easily earn another 100 billion. I laughed and said as much, but he replied, "No, I don't think it's that easy now, sis. Because in the past, I did things that were easy, so they came and went easily, they weren't stable. And now, I want to do something more secure, and I love the peace of De Lat. I'll find my opportunities here." And I firmly believe that with such a mindset, he will find his own opportune moment. Throughout the trip, he recounted his failures with a smile and a very generous voice. We talked and laughed, and that's what I praised him for. I still believe he will regain his glory and achieve what he wants, because his voice, his attitude when recounting his failures, wasn't one of shame or regret, but simply appreciating it as a lesson. It's rare to meet someone who talks about their pain, a man with such a huge failure in life, losing money, even his family, with such a positive perspective. And now, he drives a taxi to earn a living and enjoy his time in Dalat, waiting for the right moment to pursue what he wants to do in life. San understands that those of you listening to this podcast also have your own pains. This episode is not meant to belittle your pain at all, and I know that everything makes us who we are, it's a part of us. So it's not something to be taken lightly. It's just about shifting our perspective a little. Sometimes it can actually be a wonderful gift for us, helping us mature more, learn more, and appreciate life more. Pain is also a part of life. Happiness, joy, hope, everything is a part of life. What we should do is focus our attention on what we can do better, instead of focusing on pain. Travel more, go outside, observe the lives of those around you. Listen to someone's story, embrace everything. Discover yourself, discover this world. Go to the mountains and see the children going to school. Go to the Mekong Delta and see how the people there are collaboratively building tourism communities. Look at those who are struggling to earn a daily living, receiving meager amounts of money, but are incredibly happy because, for them, that's enough to feed their family for a day. And like that, they are happy enough, and sometimes they are even happier than those with immense wealth who are constantly worried they'll lose it all. We never know, friends. It all still depends on us. How we see things, which angle we choose to look from, whether we see pain as something terrible, or as something normal, or a special gift that life brings you, that's up to you. After listening to this podcast, how do you feel? Please share with San in the comments section below. And if you have any favorite topics you'd like San to cover, please comment below. 2025 will be the year San spoils and listens to her followers more, so please don't hesitate to share. And once again, thank you all so much for listening. Thank you for always being patiently waiting. Thank you for always being here. Once again, I wish you all a good night.